Climate justice, a fairer future for everyone. Climate justice is about ensuring that the impacts of climate change don't unfairly harm certain groups of people more than others. While climate change affects everyone, some people, especially those who are already vulnerable, suffer more, even though they have contributed least to causing the problem. Climate justice fights for fairness and aims to protect the most at-risk communities from the harmful effects of climate change, ensuring everyone has the chance to thrive in a changing world. Real-world examples of climate change inequality. Low-income communities in cities. In urban areas, low-income neighborhoods often experience more extreme heat waves. These neighborhoods may lack green spaces, trees, or air conditioning, turning them into heat islands. As temperatures rise, residents, who may not have access to proper health care, are more at risk of heat-related illnesses or even death. Wealthier areas are better equipped to handle heat waves, making this a clear example of how climate change disproportionately affects poorer communities. Small island nations. Small island countries, such as the Maldives and Kiribati, are facing rising sea levels due to climate change. These nations have contributed very little to global pollution, but are on the front lines of the crisis. Rising oceans are slowly submerging their land, forcing people to abandon their homes, farms, and fresh water sources. While larger, wealthier countries like the US and China are major contributors to the pollution, these small nations bear the greatest risk, highlighting the inequality in climate change's impact. Farmers in developing countries. In many developing countries, such as in Africa, farmers rely on the predictable rainfall to grow crops. Climate change has caused weather patterns to become more unpredictable, with extreme droughts, floods, and irregular rainfall making it harder for farmers to harvest their crops. Many of these farmers don't have the resources to adapt, such as irrigation systems or crop insurance. This makes them more vulnerable to losing their livelihoods, despite having contributed little to the causes of climate change. Indigenous communities. Indigenous peoples, like those living in the Amazon rainforest or Arctic regions, rely on the land and environment for their culture, food, and livelihoods. Deforestation, mining, and industrial development, driven by global demand for resources, are destroying their homes. Their communities often lack the political power or resources to defend their land, and as their traditional way of life is threatened, they face displacement and loss of culture. Access to clean energy. Wealthier countries and individuals are able to switch to renewable energy sources like solar and wind power, which help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. However, poorer communities often don't have access to these technologies and remain dependent on polluting energy sources like coal or diesel. This lack of access to clean energy helps keep them trapped in a cycle of pollution and health problems, making it harder for them to escape poverty or improve their living conditions. Why climate justice matters. Climate justice is crucial because it seeks to ensure that climate change solutions are fair and do not create more inequality. It calls on richer nations and people, who are the biggest contributors to global warming, to help support those who are most vulnerable to its effects. By addressing the root causes of climate injustice, we can create a world where everyone, regardless of background or location, has the opportunity to build a sustainable future. Fighting for climate justice means not just reducing emissions and developing clean energy, but also ensuring that those who have been historically left out due to poverty, race, or geography are included in the solutions. It's about recognizing that climate change is not just an environmental issue, but a social and ethical one that requires a fair response for all.